Right now, the halls of the University of Manitoba's Desautels Faculty of Music are ringing with the vibrant sounds of brass and percussion. The Prairie Brass Camp and Prairie Percussion Workshop are in full swing, bringing together young musicians from across the city to learn from some of the finest brass and percussion instructors in the country. What makes this year's percussion workshop particularly exciting is the presence of the acclaimed Montreal-based ensemble Sixtrum. Not only are the members of Sixtrum serving as faculty for the workshop, they're also performing as part of the Space Between Four, a percussion-focused conference taking place this weekend from Friday, August 8th to Sunday, August the 10th. One of the highlights of their visit is the premiere of a brand new work by composer Örjan Sandred, who teaches composition at the University of Manitoba. For those unfamiliar with Sixtrum, they're a powerhouse in the world of contemporary percussion. The ensemble has premiered over 40 new works, including 25 Canadian premieres, and earned international acclaim for their boundary-pushing performances. They're also dedicated educators, with members of the ensemble teaching at McGill University's Schulich School of Music. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio are two of Sixtrum's founding members, Fabrice Marandola and Christy Ibrahim, and composer Örjan Sandred, to talk about the music, the collaboration, and what audiences can expect from this extraordinary week of percussion. Hello to you all. So great to have you here.
Thanks.
Hello.
Thanks.
So, Fabrice and Christy, you've had roughly a day and a half of teaching at the Prairie Percussion Workshop. What's it been like for you, and what have your initial impressions been so far?
Intense. No, it's really fantastic. The kids are divided into 3 groups, and so we just go nonstop from one group to the next. And I have the privilege of teaching the percussion ensemble groups. Mm-hmm. So it's energy. I think maybe I have a little bit more than they do at some points, but no, they sound great, and we should be ready for the concert on Friday.
Fabrice, how about you?
I'm teaching timpani, so each member of Sixtrum takes one instrument.
Right.
So I do timpani. We have a colleague doing snare drum, actually a colleague from Saskatoon who joined us. Mm-hmm. We have 2 of our members doing the mallets, so marimba, vibraphone, xylophone. And Philippe is doing drum set as a group, which is pretty intense too, but fun. And João is originally from Brazil, so he's doing Brazilian music with students.
Nice. So as a timpani player, and especially when you're working with young students, what kind of things are you working on them with?
So as Christy explained, we have 3 levels. So those with like 1 year or 2 years maximum of experience, up to those have 4 years and more. So, but for all of them, the focus is the same, is sound production, tone production, having a good technique. We are reinforcing all the fundamentals and giving them methods, like methodology. How do I practice?
Yeah.
How can I have this piece, and how can I make it sound good and improve? And it's spectacular. It's our second day, and already from yesterday, like the progress are really, really strong.
Oh, that's fantastic. Sixtrum was formed in 2007. Fabrice and Christy, can you talk about how the 6 of you came together, and what was the thinking behind the formation of the group?
I think I was like the first one to raise my hand and say, "Hey, colleagues, let's do something together." In fact, I come from France, and I was 18. I found a CD from the McGill Percussion Ensemble. And it was, I think, the first CD I ever bought was percussion music by the McGill Percussion Ensemble. I had no idea, like 25 years later, I would be the prof leading the percussion ensemble at McGill. And so there was a tradition of percussion ensemble in Montreal. But when I arrived in the mid-2000s, that had gone. That was stopped because people were like away and stopped doing it. And so with colleagues from University of Montreal, Robert Leroux and Philippe Hornsey, who is still with Sixtrum, and Christy, we got together and said, like, well, let's start an ensemble. And why 6 persons? Because the group who founded the genre of percussion ensemble, Percussion de Strasbourg, which is a French group, they were 6. And so the big repertoire, some of the best pieces ever written for percussion, were written for them in the 70s, 80s, 90s. So we wanted to be able to do this repertoire. And we said, well, if we want to play quartets, well, 6 persons is enough.
Yeah.
But if we go with 4 only, every time we want to play pieces with 5 or 6 percussionists will be a problem. So we decided to go for 6, and it has been a real adventure, but pleasure.
And Christy, like when you first joined the group, what was your thinking like?
It was fantastic. I had the opportunity to work with a percussion ensemble in New Zealand before, and we were 5. And so I was already completely hooked. I was basically a convert from orchestral percussion to this idea of chamber music, of creation especially. And so I really liked this idea of playing, yes, that classic kind of original repertoire, but then also delving into the realm of new music and working hands-on with composers. And we had a really great group, Julien Grégoire, who's since retired, but he's premiered so many new works in Montreal and he has this sort of amazing Alibaba's cavern, we call it, of all these instruments. And so the idea of sound exploration, it was pretty amazing to say that to take this on, enter this world of the percussion ensemble. And it's 18 years later, and no regrets.
Örjan, I want to turn it over to you. You're asked to compose a piece for Sixtrum. Composing for percussion, it's sort of limitless possibilities of sounds, textures, whatever. What was your initial reaction, and how did you narrow it down to what sounds you wanted and how the piece would come together?
My initial reaction was very happy that I got the opportunity, of course, because I know it's a great group. And percussion is a fascinating instrument in general, as you mentioned, because you have so many possible routes you can take. So most of my music is with live electronics. Almost all my later pieces are written for instruments and live electronics. So the way I work, it's music is so much more than sound also. So I am interested in the interaction between people and, in my case, people and electronics. So I mean, every music is based on interaction. If you play a duo, you interact with each other in a very, very fine level. So bringing the electronic part is also part of that. So my first... when I was sitting down thinking about the piece, how would I do that? How would you? Now I have 6 players. It's quite a big group for interactive piece. So I came up with the idea of why not work with a game-like structure, where the interactive part is like a game. Like games are also very interactive, and interaction creates a certain a level of tension and drama. I think, especially games can be very dramatic if they're well played, so to speak. We all know that. So the piece is a little bit of a game. They compete with each other, and the computer in this case is kind of the judge, seeing who's better. It's game for fun, but it's also it's working with music. You have to think about how does this relate to music. So I hope that drama of the game will translate into the music in a way that there is kind of a drama in the flow of the music at the same time.
It sounds fascinating. The percussionists are interacting with the electronic elements. It's just remarkable. Where do the electronic sounds come from? Like, where do the electroacoustic elements come from?
So it's a little bit of a blend. Most of them come from percussion instruments themselves. So they kind of extends into a larger acoustic world, I would say, because it's a surround system. So you get the music, the audience in the middle of the music in that way. But a lot of sounds are derived, at least from percussion instruments. Maybe they behave in a way that wouldn't be possible to play. Like there's a really long sound that normal when you play a ratchet or something like that, they become shorter because of the physics of the instruments. But in the electronics, you're not limited to that. So you can make them behave a little bit different.
Yeah, the sustain is limitless.
You can if you want, yeah.
It also means, like with a piece like this, where the percussionists are competing with the electronics, it means that every performance is going to be different every single time, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea with live electronic, is that the interactive part opens up for that performances can be different from each other. So, I mean, we don't know how the game will go from performance to performance.
Other than that, my team's going to win.
Of course. Yeah. So that is, of course, it doesn't change the piece, but it changed the interpretation of the piece. Yeah.
Fabrice and Christy, what's it been like learning the piece? Like
really fun.
Like, I'm just thinking about the notation aspect. Is there a notation aspect, or is a lot of it aleatoric?
It's musical notation. I mean, a percussion score is still musical notation, but there's like a legend, let's say. So you might have a regular staff, but rather than it being a treble clef or bass clef, you get a legend. So a different line or space might mean something. Sometimes the note head changes. So in my case, I have a very small setup. I have 3 drums, so it just goes by pitch, and after that, it's how you play it. So the articulation, Örjan is included. And then in the games, we have to figure out how we play impacts how the electronics react. So the speed, the volume, all of those kinds of things. And our reaction time is really important. So, and all of those help us gain or lose points in this case. And we might be just a little competitive. So and then, it's the computer that tallies those points. And so it's the computer who tells us at the end. And we have been known to gloat. Right?
Excellent. I have to say, it is super smart the way Victoria Sparks, the percussion teacher at the University of Manitoba, has planned this. My understanding is that Sixtrum will be performing on the final concert for the Prairie Percussion Workshop on Friday, the 8th. And that performance is also going to kick off the Space Between 4. Christine Fabrice, why is it so important for young percussionists to see their teachers perform and perform new music?
I think the inspiration, first of all, because like we're teaching them timpani, etc., and we just did a short concert for them 5 minutes ago on marimbas only, and then when they see us perform on marimbas all together, they're like, oh, that's why we need to do this practice. But it's also opening up new words for them, like the sounds. They didn't think we could even get the sound all together. And the new music for us is just natural. Percussion instruments and the percussion ensemble is one of the most recent, development of music, classical music. The first group emerged in the 50s, 60s, middle of the 20th century. So all the music we play is by composers where most of them are still alive. And that's one of the pleasure we have, is to working with Örjan. We had a chance to workshop with him in October in Montreal. He came back in May, where we did more workshop with all the other composers that you will hear on Friday evening. And then here we have again a chance to kind of keep working on the piece. And this is a part that is most interesting and fascinating for us, is to get to know why the composers write the way they write, what do they have in mind, what they're expecting, and then we provide some answers or some other direction. And often they're like, oh, okay, let's try it. And this part is the most fun. And so when the students see us do that, they will want to do the same. Maybe they won't be professional percussionists, it doesn't matter, but they will be music lovers, and they might be composers. Some of them might be like, oh, I want to do that too. I want to write music. I want to write my own music for my friends and myself. So I think that's really the motivation and inspiration for them.
And then the other thing is, with the Canadian Percussion Network, you've got the Space Between 4 that starts on Friday. What are you both looking forward to? Like, as percussionists, is it a professional development thing, or just an opportunity to hang out and geek out on percussion with colleagues?
Both. In fact, what is super interesting in percussion, there's a big convention in the States that happens every year, but it's really performance-based, and there's not much space for thinking about percussion. And here, the space between research and performance and practice, and to give everyone an opportunity to geek out, but to geek out in a way to discover new things. So one of the keynotes, for example, for this conference at TSB4 is by a marimba maker who lives in Saskatoon, and he is building a new contrabass marimba. So it goes so low that the acoustics of the instrument is totally different from a normal marimba. So he will come and explain how he went about creating new resonators, how he had to tune the bars. So that's that part of like really digging into the fine knowledge and discovering new things actually about percussion. And that's just one of many others. So we really go from performances where you need to you go discover pieces to people doing things in acoustic, in health. Also, we have a colleague who works on drummers and explaining how drummers in heavy metal are using tremor in their ankle to go faster. And so, it's very vast. So we're actually all learning for 2 days, and we get to hang out. And in Canada, it's so vast that it's the fourth one, and we have more and more colleagues coming because the only opportunity to see each other and actually discuss with each other. And it's the third year we're doing it, and we've seen the community growing and the relationship between universities developing thanks to the Canadian Percussion Network.
Mm-hmm. And Örjan, as a composer, what are you looking forward to about hearing your piece performed on Friday?
It's always like a big excitement to hear a premiere of a piece. I mean, it's like your babies, you know, like you're really protective, and then one day you had to let go. That's kind of the hard part.
Yeah. It sounds so great. Örjan, Christy, and Fabrice, has been so wonderful to have you all here in today to talk about your piece, Örjan, and the Prairie Percussion Workshop in the Space Between Four, as presented by the Canadian Percussion Network. All the best over the next several days, and thanks so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to stop by and talk to me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.